Hello everybody and welcome to the Cockpit Real Racing Season 6 tonight here in Hungary. And well, it's going to be a long one as tonight we have a 100% race, as we see by the calendar that we just saw for a second. I'll show it up again tonight. 100% race, 6th of February here around the notorious Hungarian track, also known in the community as the Monaco Without Wall. So looking forward to 70 laps around this track. Obviously tonight we have a one-shot qualifying, so I'll be quickly switching over. We'll go around the standings and soon, but not right now, as we have sadly not the time for that. So right now we're immediately jumping on to the action. One-shot qualifying, as of course are the rules for the 100% race. But of course, I'm not alone tonight. Say hello again to Joseph, my co-commentator.
Hello. Welcome back to Cockpit Real Racing. As you heard from Luca, a pleasure to be back after the chaos of Belgium here in this one-shot qualifying session.
What are we looking forward to for tonight? I don't know. It's a big question, as of course you only have one lap to bring everything together. The soft compounds, but we're gonna need to think, what can we see? This track is quite tricky with track limits, as well as entering the complex of turns 4 is already where we might see some cars go wide, go off the track limits, but also the chicane 6 and 7, the new gen, finding that funny already, but difficult, easy to just run over the curb, go wide. But we see already Ali Galoz, the fastest car over on the Red Bull, going through turn 2. The first and second test has already been passed, and now comes down the hill and up towards a quick left-hander, turn 4. Here's wide. Here's a corner where you can easily go wide and invalid, but it's not invalid for the Red Bull. So let's have a look at the tire lap and track map. But it's seen that currently the Red Bull Algloser is already head-to-head with Fernando, going through the chicane of 6 and 7, now through the switching corners of 8, 9, 10 and 11. Again, this is a corner again we can go wide just on the edge for the Red Bull, but it's been overtaken also by the Red Bull McLaren of Pier Francesco. And through the final sector, turns 12, long left-hander, anti-cambered. Got to be careful not to go wide or lose the reins. And then for the final corner right-hander, it's Fernando who looks to be maybe taking it. Pier Francesco retires from the session, maybe at a spin. And Ku will be the first across the line. It's going to be Fernando by 1/10 of a second. Wow.
Incredible stuff, I have to say. As there was a massive battle between 3 of them there. Hernano, Francesco, and Elia Galosio. It turns out to be Galosio by under 1/10 of a second, 87 thousandths of a second, taking the pole, and then 1.2 seconds over the man in third. That's an incredibly massive gap compared to other cars, as it's very close between 9th and 8th as well, 2 thousandths of a second there. Incredibly close gaps here in this one-shot quali. We will get to the race shortly.
Also,
wow, what do you think about that one, Luca?
Well, shocking, surprising by Pier Francesco, one of the drivers who is quite fast, as we've seen also in Spa, but also at the beginning of the season, retiring the final sector. And what is it? It's a wet race. Oh dear! Not only not only is this the Monaco Without Walls, it's wet as well. And well, I've been told to say a sentence. I've forgotten already. What was it that I had to say? Yeah, boy, it's wet tonight. Yeah, boy, it's wet in Hungary. And I believe with a formation lap, I can quickly run down the standings order for tonight. We'll be quickly switching over again. Pardon me for that abrupt switch, but we would love to see how it goes. McLaren taking so far over in the standings. We had it right there. McLaren 364 points with the Kick Sauber team. Less than 10 points behind, less than 20 points behind, with 19 points behind the McLaren team last in Belgium, jumping up a lot as the McLaren had a bit of a stinker last time round. The Kick Sauber team was absolutely going at it, and Alpine joining in as well. Alpine had a really nice, good season as well. Pardon me, had a really good round last time in Belgium. So jumping closer to the Kick Sauber and the McLaren team there too. Looking forward, we've already crossed halfway point of the season. So with the second half of the season getting this close to the top 3, it's really lovely to see. Also between the top from 4th to 7th, they are just a distance by 6 points, and with 2 drivers per team, that is absolutely no gap at all. And look at the driver standings. Chris Sniper, gotta keep an eye on him as well. The McLaren driver, 267 points, followed by Forrest Jump, who's currently third. Who's starting third right now. Talking about a championship leader, he's 11th. We didn't notice that in qualifying. Starting 11th is a championship leader, so he will have a heap of a catch-up race to do tonight. And Pierre Francesco, the McLaren, I said retired in qualifying, who's our fifth position in the standings, has the 2 Kick Saubers in front, close to Andrew, who's once again sadly not being able to join tonight, replaced by Sig Pampo, who's currently starting 6th for tonight's race. So Pierre Francesco could have a chance to jump up, but he needs to have a shocking of a race tonight. But let's get back onto the race in action. Joseph, what do you think? What will we see at the start of this race?
I think we're going to see something similar to 2021 real life Hungary, in that a lot of cars are out of position. On a wet track, as we see one of the Sig Pampos just went wide at the second to last corner. But I think we're going to see a lot of battling between drivers today. Lots of racecraft, lots of dramatic moments in this race. It's going to be a good watch. Keep an eye on it. Back to you, Luca, for the start of the race, when you say your wise words to kick off the action.
Well, as the cars are lining up at the back of the grids, GPna also gonna have to say new name on the grid. We see new names by the race now joining in, and GPna, the Alpine driver, joining us tonight down in 18th. Here we see the final cars crossing over. So let's have an eye back up to our pole sitter, Fernando. What can he do? Can he defend off the other cars? The lights will turn on any second now, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. We kick off the Hungarian Grand Prix here. 100% race, 70 laps ahead of us tonight, and it's Rich Ivan, the Mercedes, absolutely rocking a mega start, going up the 5th place. Hernandez has no chance of a 5th. They're going 3 wide. And then it's Richarman nearly trying to get a podium position out of it, and it's not getting close enough. And in the back we have 3 wide going into turn 2 now between the Ferrari of Penna and the Williams of Job, who got a good run, even getting no assist in that slingshot effect. That's amazing. And Petricam getting himself also a good jump. Frankie didn't manage to keep that quite running. And in the back it's still chaos through turn 4. And it is Chris Racing who's also lost in that, starting P11, already 2 positions down, and there's a good clean start. And Pierre Francesco, absolutely shocking. Oh, the upper speed side, that's Zeno going off the gravel trap.
Yeah, Zeno goes straight over the second chicane there. I think he was trying to avoid contact with one of the Saubers. Looks like he struggled under braking. Couple cars going wide. It's a big Constantina heading round turn 1. Lots of elbows got thrown out. Great start by Petrocab and a great start by the V-Cub of Frenkie. Not the best start for Sig Pampos, I have to say. Going from 6th to now 12th now, behind the championship leader Chris, who's been very cautious on this start here, Luca.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, starting P11, has got himself back up into the P11 spot. I also saw a V-Carb off Bexito with a bit of front wing damage. That is easy. As you said, in 2021, turn 1 was quite a chaotic. This time, kept it a bit clean. Still, 3 wide action over a lot. And Bexito, as you said, now goes into the pit to repair that damage that they suffered through. But looks to be quite clean. The driver's knows a long one to go. I remember from Japan that the drivers were a bit more aggressive in the 100% race, which goes back to the mental status of the drivers, and it will take a toll, as we will be looking for about 2 hours of race distance tonight, which could be getting quite tight, as of course it's Friday evening, a good day, but of course we don't know how the private life goes. So on the Friday we don't really want to burn yourself out just at the end. So it's really depending on the driving style. We see how the drivers take it. But first jump, one driver I'm keeping my eye on isn't losing touch to Allegolosio, championship rival, championship contender, fighting for P3.
As I'm just trying to have a look, put my mic on mute there for a second, but heading around the second last corner, we have Forrest Jump. He's catching up to Ale Galosio by tenths of a second every lap now, but I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to make the move, as he seems to have the grip, but everyone's very tentative on the exit of these corners here in the wet conditions. There's no dry line yet, there's no warm circuit yet. They're all just very don't know what the word is, very timid, that's the word, on the corners. Oh, no assist isn't timid, and neither is Vitham Jalman, side by side with no assists, heading into turn 2. Oh, nearly contact though between the pair of them. How's this gonna end, Luca?
Absolutely incredible. As through turn 2, no assists, kept the momentum running, but couldn't quite keep it together for the exit. But Williams of Joper, bit of chaos on the exit of turn 4. Had to be careful. Bit of avoiding action by the McLarens and the Ferrari. But it is Chris Racing taking another position from their chaos. But the Williams is not backing up, but there was contact.
Ooh.
And the Williams has to go off, cut the corner, and rejoin down in 11th. But with the no assist and Vichalban situation, that was quite a hectic one. It's through the exit of turn 2. You need to be careful as the car naturally slides wide. And if you're too wide there, it is quite easy to just lose your vision and just drift off into the other car. And with these wheel-to-wheel banging, it's quite easy to just lose the rear end with just slight bit of contact. But no assist has kept it quite clean and running and promote himself up into P6. Very well done, as the main straight seems to be currently the only opportunity where an overtake can happen. So as we see it, for P2 between First Jump and Allegolosio, LA defends the inside and would have nearly had a switch opportunity for Forrest Jump. He still has the nose close there, but couldn't keep it, and that's a mistake by Allegolosio going wide, which gives Forrest Jump another opportunity to have it down under. Look, turn 4. This is a difficult spot. Onto the grass he goes. Can he keep it? Side by side, the McLaren, the Red Bull has been pushed slightly off the track, but he's still there for P2. And Forrest Jump is keeping the pressure on that Red Bull for the opening laps of the race, but he's given it up for now. But no, it's a good save by the Red Bull, and that's an opportunity again for Forrest Jump. Is side by side in the rain. How are they keeping it together?
Not a clue. I have to say, it's been hard but fair racing, similar to Massa and Kubica back in 2008 Fuji as the Alpine nearly goes round. But great racing by the pair of them. Keep it up.
Well, the Alpine have again a chance on the main straight. It is quite a tough track. It looks that the rain is starting to calm down at this opening, so it could become a switch conditions as we had in Belgium last round. So it could get dry before the half of the race.
Yeah, he's to the outside. Do you reckon he's gonna find the grip on the outside? Just about. The Red Bull gives him a bit of space, bit too much space actually, because now Forrest has the inside for turn 2, and that, I think that was a mistake by Glozio. He could have been a little bit more aggressive about that, and he has lost the place to jump for now. These two, they're warming their tyres up, hopefully not overheating them, but yeah, LA needs to be a little bit more aggressive with the Alpine, but the Alpine being aggressive with its rear end. Meanwhile, Chris and Penn are battling. What are they doing? Swapping places, heading just before turn 4. But yeah, this battle between the Alpine and the Red Bull as the Alpine goes wide. But we head through. Yeah, now Chris not able to make any move stick on no assists. Weaving through the S's. It looks like this bunch of cars that's been here for a couple laps now. They swapped places a couple laps ago while Jump and LA Glozio were battling. But now places again, heading into turn 12, not going to happen. I reckon we could have a right good strategy battle between these two, especially if the track is to dry up, which it looks like it is. So this could be something to watch for sure in Hungary.
As the rain has settled away, the track turning dry as the second ghost, yes, already enabled. So who will bite the bullet and jump in as when the game enables it, yes, it means that it's very dry enough for the dry compounds. So now it's a question on how can the intermediates hold on the overheating, as Chris Racing doesn't seem to have any issues with how he said going past no assist, and we have only 3 cars in the pit lane looking for maybe a strategy. JP, Zeno and Diego going in for their stop, and also the last 2 drivers, Dance Rexido, join in. And it looks that the track absolutely is not set anymore for the wet compounds for the intermediates here. So who looks to be it's gonna be a absolute chaos in the pit lane if everyone bites the bullet and jumps in.
This could be really crucial for everyone from P14 down. Zeno, Japina, Diego, Sim Driver. Oh, as Zeno nearly spins there. But I'm just having a look. Watch their pace and watch them on the leaderboard, because they could go up the order. They're on dries, Zeno on hards, Japina on mediums, hards for Diego, hards for Rexito, and also hards for Dance. Keep an eye on them all, and let's see if they can jump any of the people here in this pit stop run.
Everyone is in, but Pierre Francisco does go in. He has massive front wing damage as well. What is going on? He's the only one out. Lewis Hamilton 2021 situation here, who's now alone on the main straight. Everyone is in, and it's chaos. Will there be any hold-ups? Doesn't seem that cars are being held up. I believe due to the game, you can go out, but it is Petrocam up into P4, and let's see where you said the cars who pitted the lap earlier go, and then what is going on? That is Frankie going into the back of Rich Simon, breaking his front wing.
That'll be a penalty. That'll be a penalty, and also there was on the pit entry, no assist, was going very slow, holding up Seat and Penna in the pit entry, and others. That could be a penalty as well later on after the race. There's side-by-sides everywhere. There's the Aston Martin going around the outside of no assist. Great move. There was battling between, I think, Chris and potentially someone else as well, but there was lots of side-by-side action here. Very frantic changeover period, but very early. I thought it was going to be a little bit later than that. But no, it has dried up very quickly, but now everyone's out of position on a dry track. Get ready for some battles, get some food, because this is going to be entertaining to watch. But then keep an eye on Seth and Penna, keep an eye on Chris, and keep an eye on Gelman potentially going backwards. Hopefully Sig Pampos can go forwards. Mr. Creco could go backwards, as Piero Francesco, he's going to go forwards, depending on what tires he goes on, as he's in the pits now.
Looks to be
and he's changing his front wing.
As he's lost the front wing, I believe, just the lap before everyone has gone in. That was the whole left side wing was missing, so big damage by the McLaren driver, which will absolutely hurdle him down the order. But that is Chris Racing absolutely making no fuss of overtaking, promoting himself up into P5 in this opening start, dropping from P13 all the way up to P5. Incredible work by a championship leader. He wants to lose as little points as possible from the Alpine first jump, who's also catching on slightly to the kick over Fernando. Forrest Jump, Fernando, and Chris, those 3 names should be familiar, as in last season those 3 were the championship contenders, and they do not seem to hold out yet. They are all going up for the top spot still.
No love lost between them, and why should there be? As it gives us great battle in us. Anano looking a bit vulnerable now on those tyres. Pen has just got past the V-Cover Frankie in Sector 2. Great move. As Jump sets the fastest lap. We'll see him be the leader soon for sure. Ale Galosio as well potentially could catch up into P2, but Hanano looks to be in trouble. He DNF'd in the race in Spa after a crash at Stavolo. He's looking to redeem it, but it looks like he is on the back foot heading through here. We have Chris getting past one of the Haas cars. That's Petrocam. And I think there's another move for the other back of the field.
Sick Pumper looking for the inside with the help of the DS. It is a connected DS zone, so if you get it there, it looks easy by the kicks out, but he's still there also in the back. No assist. Tries to defend from Pier Francesco, who couldn't manage. Pier Francesco on a one lap fresher hard, and now the fresh front wing with a full on. His pace will be looking to skyrocket as he has just that little bit more help with the one lap fresher tires, which makes a huge difference. But it is incredible how in the first 10 laps, look at the minimap, the cars are so spread out already just by that crazy opening wet stint. That is something that absolutely switches up orders without knowing. And Chris Racing being involved in that beginning little squirm lost about 10 seconds or more to the lead cars.
Yeah. As Hananos has pulled the gap over Forest Jump, he's done what he needs to do. It looks like he's on a higher downforce setup as he looked very competent through the second sector. Have a look at the Mercedes and the Haas of Petrocam. So they're swapping places down the straight and out of turn 1. Yeah, that move is made. And now back to the midfield. We have Pier Francesco and Kirko battling.
As Pier Francesco makes his way up the grid with a pit stop that lost him about half the position he gained from the start. He looks to be now getting that McLaren back to where his teammate could also be looked at. As McLaren is currently championship leaders, but with a performance like this, the Alpine of Forest Jump is already getting more than more than what the McLarens are currently doing. That is the Pier Francesco going to the back of the kick Sauber, now looking to get an overtake that into chicane. The kick Sauber doesn't want to have any trouble in there. Can it be a double overtake into the next corner as well? Frankie is the only car ahead of this train, and it does seem to be going for the McLaren, as he will have the advantage of the DS, but he doesn't even take it. That was a mistake by damage. Frankie.
Damage for Frankie on the front wing. Where he's picked that up from, but sorry to cut in there, but yeah, no, I'm not too sure where he's picked that up from, but that is going to take him right down the order, as you can see. He's going to have to dive into the pits, and he does. Incredible. But yeah, no, so how that affects the race, Luca?
That was, I believe, the Frankie incident was at the when he left the pit lane, going to the back of the Mercedes, losing a massive amount of front wing. That Racing Bull will have to check that out. It's now a 3-second time penalty for Japina. Now the Alpine team having a beautiful and a forgetful race. That is something that the Alpine team cannot afford for the championship battle, as the Cake Saubers at the McLarens are gaining way more points. Mr. Quicker as well joining in with the penalties, and it does seem that Hungary is already starting to put a bit of pressure on these drivers. And it is quite a technical track. You cannot miss your turn in by just a little bit as you go wide, and there is no really error of margin you can have. But First Jump seems to be staying behind the Cake Sauber. Does it seem to be strategy? Does it seem maybe fuel? Are they doing a bit of lift and coast, looking to maybe stay ahead with the tires? What is going on between these two drivers up in front?
Not too sure. It looks like they're both managing their ERS very well, and while I think Hanano is playing a good ERS game to defend, as they were trading fastest laps up until Galosio and now Francesco have taken it away from them in clean air. These two pushing each other to the limit in terms of ERS management, as they're both on the mediums, but they're both trying to not get jumped by Galosio in the potential pit stop runs of this race. It may as well be an endurance race for 2 hours here at Hungary. But with 12 laps in, the strategy playing out between the front three, although Galosio isn't there at the moment, after the pit stop run, he could potentially be ahead of them both, and fighting will only certify that. So I think they're just trying to stay close, or one's trying to stay close to the other, that is Forrest Jump trying to stay close to Hanano, but he doesn't want to battle him too much because he'll only be hurting his tyres and letting Galosio come into play. So I think what Forrest is doing right now is good. If he can make a clean overtake and not be held up battling and defending and things like that, he'll make it. But it's just all about timing. Hanano not letting up at the moment. Great driving by the pair of them though. Harvesting ERS when they need to and using it in other places to gain. They're gaining on a lot Glosio now by a bit in the first sector, but hopefully they can keep that pace up. For a while, we have a car off. That's Frankie.
As we also have a midfield battle here, Mr. Quickos has lost the rear end quite a few times, but adding on to what the leaders are doing, they've gone into a softer compound as well. The first two drivers are going onto the medium compound. So that was Mr. Quico nearly into the back of Diego into turn 1. It looks to me that Aston Martin driver is not really capable of holding the car steady so far. The car seems to be struggling, seems to be having a bit of an unbalanced setup maybe, but with their top two drivers, the medium compounds, they are definitely looking to go for a late one stop, or maybe over two sides. Frankie retires to the pit lane. Unfortunate, but that is just the information so far on what the leaders look to be doing with the medium compounds.
Yeah, as one of the Aston Martin's getting laps, but yeah, there's a lot of this going on at the moment. I'm trying to have a look at this battle for 12th round for Zino, and into the wall for the Williams. Carnage. And I think the Aston Martin goes through on both of them. Crico, 2 for 1, takes them both, and now the Williams has damage. Carnage on the exit of turn 2. What's going on here, Luca?
That looked to be just a mistake out of the complex of turn 11. Just unfortunate. The curbs are very bouncy and lost a lot of front wing there as well, so having to go for a late jump, speeding in the pit lane. 10-second penalty applied to the Williams driver, and that doesn't seem to be quite as a race as they were looking forward to. And just in the midfield, it's looking to be a lot of action in front there. It's starting to steady out the traction. The Ferrari nearly loses the rear end. The hard compounds cannot seem to be getting the traction going.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are finding great traction, such as Galosio, he's dropping back now, so nearly Ralph the Alpine behind Zeno as well. So lots of them, he's on the mediums and with a bit from wing damage as well, so it looks like the dirty air is catching a lot of these drivers out. And also, if you're losing the car too much and the tyres are overheating, it's punishing these drivers on this high downforce track where you're asking so much out of the tyres. The tyres sometimes can't provide what the grip that the drivers are asking for. That's probably why you're seeing some of these sideways moments where it looks like you're watching the rallying, but in reality you're watching drivers taking too much out of their tyres and being punished for it. I'm keeping an eye on that battle with Penna and Joppa. Now, Zeno really struggling in this race at the moment with his tyres. He's trying to defend from Japina, the debutant, who's doing a decent job. Oh, a bit deep though.
Absolutely here for the midfield. It is also the setup. Something as we can say, these cars are quite rear heavy, so the rear tires can easily overheat a little more, but with these fast sections, core temperatures just heat up so much. They need to be careful on the exit to not still have residue heat coming through the middle section part of the track. and with also the corners being so with the elevation changes coming in as well, as we see through the final corner just how much upwards it goes, but then turn 2 being such a downhill that it definitely affects the disperse of the car, the weight distribution of the car, and it does seem that the hard compound seems to be just struggling with the heat. Maybe it's also on the other side, maybe they're struggling to get heat into the tires, and with each spin just add on tire wear and maybe cool temperatures, which can lead to blisters, which in the game we might not see, but they are very much simulated, which hurts the tire, which hurts the grip level, but still keeps the temperatures in a weird sense of unbalancement.
Yeah, the Williams of Jopa at the moment, he's doing a good job of playing the hunter and the hunted. He's got that Ferrari in front of him that he wants to get past, but he's also got to worry about that McLaren in his mirrors of Francesco on those fresher tyres, who was dancing round drivers, it seemed, earlier, like Japina and Frankie or Rexito. I'm not too sure who it was. It was one of the recaps. But he was dancing round drivers as if he was a ballet dancer, just through the S's before that whole melee happened with the front wing damage for Frankie. But yeah, let's see if he can make amends here and potentially get up into P7 ahead of Seat and Penna. The leaders have all split up now. Veloccio's dropping back a lot, but Forest Jump as well is dropping back as well. So Jump could be in trouble to a potential threat from Velocio. When the time comes around, there's battling, I think, between... Yes, no, that's just Aston Martin getting lapped, ignore me. There's... Yeah, no, it's quite an interesting race so far, but we have another couple round of pit stops to happen in this race yet, so that'll be interesting moving forward. How do you think we'll see... Well, what do you think will happen strategy-wise, and who do you think would be shooting up the order?
Well, it's quite of a tough call with the strategy, as it does seem to be just a one-stop strategy, depending on the drivers who've gone the hard compounds will end the race on the mediums, or maybe the softs, depending on how long they can go out. But the medium compounds who are out now will have to definitely switch, or can switch to a second set of mediums if they do have, as of course the rule with mandatory tires doesn't apply if the race starts in the wet compounds. So pretty much the medium runners still have, if they do have the tire location of another medium, can go with a 2 medium stops, but the hard compound runners could be looking to maybe extend the stints to go for a final soft push, which could be the push that we might see bring them up the order, or even lose it, as of course the medium runners can be looking for a steady run, while the hard compound runners are going for a bit of a riskier strategy, depending on what the strategy goes to set. Of course, at the start of the race, the game doesn't really tell you what the strategy is, as it only saw the wet part of the race, the intermediate part of the race. So it is really pretty much down to the drivers, and if they have a race engineer with them as well. But really depends on what they seem to be. They might be the most comfortable with doing. As Alec Alonso suffered a 3-second time penalty going into sector 3.
That's huge. That is huge for Velocio. That could potentially cost him towards the end of the race, and potentially cost him in strategy as well, as that will change the intentions of Jump, who now has to not worry about passing Velocio, just worrying about staying close to the Italian in the Red Bull. Really got Williams of Jopa. I think that was potentially sector 2, as looks like we're going to have the Ferrari of Seat and Penna looking for him up on Petrocam, and off for the other Ferrari of Zeno again. Off in sector 2, and nearly collecting one of the V-carbs. Just getting through, but carnage for Zeno, who's been round a couple times in this race, and it's happened again. The number 37 Ferrari being sideways a lot here in Hungary. Meanwhile, his teammate is trying to fight with Petrocam. Not getting close enough at the moment, but the closest battle on track, it has to be said.
As Petrocam seems to be feeling the pressure from the Ferrari behind, going wide of turn 4, that will definitely go into the track limit violation warning. And it seems that the medium compounds are just starting to feel the edge of the grip. They're starting to be slightly worn. And the Ferrari of certain Petty just seems to be struggling less with the traction. Just managed to follow through way better. And through the final sector, this is where we'll notice on the exit of the turn 12 how the Ferrari can keep the traction running through the left-hander. But this could become the position change for P6 that the Ferrari will hope for. With the next to the S zones being connected, this could very much go into his hands.
For sure. He's in the DRS. Remember, he's played the hunter and the hunted with the McLaren behind, but now he is hunting to the outside and to 6th place potentially for Ayrton Penna. Wide for Jopa in the background, as we saw in the Williams, but Penna isn't going to worry about that. The Haas is under pressure now from Pier Francesco, who's looking to go around the outside of the Haas. The Haas says no. Toyota Haas stays ahead of the McLaren. And looking for a move in turn 4 is the McLaren, not making it stick. Incredible racing. Penna is now free and clean air and is looking to catch Gelman in the Mercedes in front as Penna in the pits.
As we now seem to be with Penna is maybe going in for a repair for the front wing. Yes, it is. The left-hand side of the wing is missing the end plate, which is huge on a track like this. High downforce. Any damage you suffer can absolutely ruin your chances for any good opportunities. We see drivers, once they suffer the damage, immediately bite the bullet and jump in. Sometimes we see, as we saw in Spa, sometimes we saw drivers drive on with the damage, as Spa being more of a low setup. What is going with the RP, with the Aston Martin? Squeezing a drive off at the second for this round into the back.
Oh!
Safety car
Zeno's
is out. Zeno's out as well.
Zeno.
That is a wow. And the RP.
Zeno.
What has gone on here in lap 20 of this Grand Prix? A double DNF on 2 different parts of the track.
I'm not even too sure what happened there. We had chaos with the Ferrari. Well, I don't even know what happened there. We were looking at a battle between one of the lapped Aston Martins and Ayrton Penna, and then his teammate goes and stuffs it in Sector 2, the late part of Sector 2, and then Zeno has his own accident on the top of Turn 5. I think he was, I'm not too sure, he must have been pushing hard to try and not get overcut by Japena. In doing so, it's just lit up the rears, it looks like, and gone off. But now, this is a free pit stop for loads of other people.
What's the strategy going to be looking like now, going this early in? Can the hard compound survive for 50 laps? Maybe, but really it's going to depend. Yes, it is another set of mediums. I can't tell the color. What is that? Is the Haas going on? Is another set of... No, it's a set of hard compounds for the kick Sauber for his jump. Believe follows in with the hard. So I believe they are all going for the hard compounds, looking to bring it over to the end of the race. But Allegorosa, who was on the hard compounds, switches to the medium compounds, and this is now a call that absolutely shakes up the grid, as who will be able to take the advantage, and can the mediums even bring it to the end? Maybe the medium runners now hope for a second safety car, as I believe something has happened in the end.
No, I'm just thinking, Chris is on the mediums as well. So we could see Glosio and our championship leader go up the order on those fresher tyres. We've got 48 laps to go, starting from now. The safety car's probably going to take a lap or two to come in, so we'll probably have about just over 45 laps of action to go in the race. I think the mediums should go for a bit, but to be fair, some of the guys pit onto hard tyres, and some of them are on the balanced allocation, so some of them didn't even have another set of hards to use, which would have been good for this scenario. But now I reckon it will be a 2-stop medium to medium for Galoso and Chris.
Whatever the strategy
Might make them
look
slower
like,
for the time being. Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean, interesting.
difficult call.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think's gonna go up the order in like up and down?
Well, it's most likely a hard compound runners who will have the advantage on the medium runners. And oh, there's an Alpine nearly going for an overtake on the safety car. But
Yeah.
it is the hard runners of who have put it right now, like No Assist, J Pin as well, getting a good jump here as well. Just a lap before the safety car, having put for repairs, you're getting all the way back to the grid. As you see, they are one lap down, but I believe according to the game, they should be allowed to unlap themselves. But I'm seeing that many of the hard compound runners have not pitted. San Penna, Pier Francesco, Sig Pampo, and Vexido decided, and Dance decided that the hard compounds still have it in them to be to run, and might be looking to have a later stop, or maybe also hoping to get a safety car later on.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is gonna be. It's lucky that this didn't come out later because I think pitting. I think we were like in around now we would have seen the start of the second round of pit stops. So it's lucky that it didn't come out later because it hasn't really hurt anybody. What I will say is, if you're seeing two Alpines near the front and a Williams near the front that aren't on the timetable, that's because they're lapped cars. So Pinner, who is currently third in the train, is lapped, and also I think Diego, the sim driver as well, he's also lapped in in all. So that could be their races pretty much locked in the bottom 13 unless Rexito gets lapped in this next stint, or unless anyone else DNFs. But it is quite bad for the people who are lapped who aren't able to unlap themselves due to no system in the game letting them. But this is very interesting indeed. So who will win out? Will it be Hinano and Forest Jump on the hards, being able to defend and then not hurt their hards too much to use their tyre life further, or will the medium runners soldier on through and pull a gap onto the next stint?
The medium runners really need to capitalize on the softer compound, as definitely the drivers who are on the mediums will have to take another stop. So whatever time they can gain on that fresher compound, on that softer compound, is absolutely crucial for the next stop. And of course, Hungary being quite a tricky track, a second safety car is definitely not out of the question. So whatever the medium runners have, they have one stop still in them, but with the pace advantage that they can have on those softer compounds, they have a lot more to play around with, while the hard compound runners are definitely locked in to bring it home, except for the hard runners who haven't pitted. They are so on the same strategy as the medium runners, so absolutely mind-boggling to think what type of strategy you might see here, as I have already lost count on who has gone in when the intermediate stint has finished, and so it's all going still all over. It's difficult to say who might take the advantage, as it's still so much to play with.
Sure. I reckon the safety car should be in this lap, and you can take us through the action after that. And it is, as we get the message from race control. But weaving, warming up his tyres is an Anno, who will come out in front. Oh, actually, no, I believe in this league they just stay on this onboard. We go quiet and let the engine roar in your ears. So that's gonna happen now, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. Let the Ferrari engine take its time, take its roar. That was quite an early call by Hernando before the final corner started, going through, and that was a jump that Forrest didn't think about, and Williams already starting to let go, and the Alpine of J Pina had to let by the Red Bull. So now Allegolodo on the softer compound has all the charge and has everything in his power to gain that 3-second penalty as well. Needs to be thought about as well. So let's have a look on how tough it is for Allegoloso to catch on. But in the midfield, now the different tires are all kicking in, and that's Jopa taking a jump, but also V-Cap in the back, Rexido taking a huge jump on it as well. Dance gets a 10-second penalty, and
Oh, 10-second penalty.
Why is everyone slowed down that much?
There's a Williams going off. I think that's Diego just letting people through, and he's lost the positions to. Oh, he might have spun or something. Then I thought he was letting people restart because of blue flags and not getting a penalty, but. And I think Chapina's doing the same, but on the straight, so he doesn't have to go off the track. But big blue flag moment there, I must say so myself. But there's battling. No, that's someone else getting laps. But fastest lap by Chris. This could be a sign for the future. Someone's round. Is that Sig Pampos? In the penultimate corner, it is. He's doing unintentional donuts. That is such a shame. But we have Vith Jamin heading round turn 1, looking for the move onto Ayrton Penna. What's going to happen?
Ayrton Penna has the disadvantage on the older, harder compounds. So there's a question of time on when Vichaman will get past. But of course, the nature of the track isn't going to make it easy for the Mercedes driver. He will need to find a way past. But the one advantage that a Ferrari driver has is just that he can control the pace through many of the corners. But once the main straight comes and the Mercedes is close enough, that will be a done and dusted overtake opportunity there. And so far, the Mercedes has no trouble following that Ferrari on those fresher compounds. And it does seem to be just a bit of a mental play here when he gets past. But with that, he's losing touch to the leading cars, the leading group, which Chris now managed to cling on to and make it his leading work as well, as he's just 4 attempts to Allegoloso. So once we might see a chance there. Said Penna turns to the right aggressively, but nothing to be done by the Ferrari, and that's Richarman and Jopa pass to the drivers respectfully, and so the medium compounds fresh run ahead. But let's have a look at what Chris is doing following this leading pack now.
Yep, he's closing up. Him and Galosio on a charge. Galosio with the penalty, not able to make much of a thing, but if Galosio gets all the hard stuff of trying to get a mistake out of jump, then Chris could just slide on through past jump and potentially Galosio as well. He could be, I mean, Chris is currently P3 on aggregate at the moment without the penalty.
Whoa.
As he's side by side with the Red Bull. Great move by the Crow McLaren. The Alpine's wide as well. Carnage is now, he was in the podium on aggregate and he still is, but he's now on the podium in terms of the on-track action as well. Really catching the Red Bull off guard. Do you reckon he's going to do that move on jump and potentially an Anos?
Where did Chris find the traction there? That was incredible. And now it's just all open with the DS help. You said it yourself. First jump will be a sitting duck, as the Red McLaren with the soft medium compounds will just need to just bring it home together. But Satin Penna getting past by Joe, but Satin Penna doesn't seem to have the strategy advantage, sadly, so far. But there we go. Joe, first jump is struggling.
Yeah, he went wide through turn 2. I thought there was an opportunity coming up there, but sadly not. Yeah, jump is going to be in danger. He's managing the gap, though. Him and Hananos earlier on trying to keep a gap to Galosio. They were able to pull a lot on him, even though Galosio was on the medium. So Chris is a different driver, yes, and he is in a different car, yes, but is he able to manage his ERS in a better way, and is he able to use his tyres a bit better? It looks like it so far here in Hungary. But what's going to happen heading on to the next DRS straight with the leaders, Luca?
Well, talking about ERS, Chris is still on a full charge battery, while first jump has burned three quarters nearly of his battery, and so Chris will have an absolute easy way of going past. He's going now, looks to the inside, aggressive weave, and has the traction. Will he be managed though? But the down under off tries jump there side by side, but the McLaren has the DS assistance as well, which helps him get the run and get himself promoted up into P2. And now there's only one more car left for him up in the front to fight. But now again comes the question: what is the strategy looking like for the McLaren? What are they thinking?
Strategy at the moment is just push flat out and get track position, which is very important here at this track. Just get track position and pull a gap, and hopefully when you make your pit stop onto the mediums, you don't lose too much time to the hard runners like Hananos and Forrest Jump. Meanwhile, yeah, this is very great by Chris right now. Get a little bit fishtaily out of that corner, but also don't count Galosio track position wise. He's looking for a move on Forrest Jump heading down the next straight. Is he going to be able to do the same thing that Chris did the lap before?
Let's have a look on board with the Alpine towards turn 1. The speed difference between the Alpine and the Red Bull. The Red Bull had a little look on the inside, but wasn't far along. Has the DS for the next straight, which will turn to turn 2, but it's just a bit too far behind. And from now, you really need to have a bit of confidence in the car to maybe have a look. The next opportunity will definitely be at the start of next lap, unless the Alpine makes a mistake.
Yep. Alpine looks like he's keeping whatever mistakes he's making. They're very discreet ones, but with 40 laps to go, anything can happen. But it's very important that Galosio clears the Alpine, gets in clean air, and tries pulling a gap on the people behind. Because not just that, if he pits and loses too much time in the pits as well, that could potentially lose him time to Pierre Francesco, who's currently trying to catch up to Jalman. But if he clears Jalman, he could be in a fight to potentially get into 4th with that penalty. Look at the lead. Look at the fight for the lead though. Chris and Hanano getting very close, heading out of the last corner. What's going to happen here, Luke?
It's absolutely going to be an easy one for the McLaren. Kicks out, but had an issue on the exit corner of the final corner. That is a very educated overtake by the McLaren, and doesn't give just enough over and under for the kick. But the kick Sauber has an acceleration which is unheard of, and keeps the nose on the outside. But that's where the traction difference. No, he's still there. He kicks Sauber. Put the battle up to the final minutes where he could, and that is Chris Racing with tooth to nail getting that overtake done. But Hernano looks to be a force not to be reckoned with. Seems to be way more confident in the car than Forrest Jump looked. But that's Chris now looking to get a gap until the next and he needs to look to get himself safe for turn 1 lunge. But it seems that the McLaren now, with the clean air, is seemingly easier to run. But Forrest Jump still a bit of under pressure from Alagalosio, but not too much.
Sure, yeah. I think that last corner, Chris just pulling the gap now. It looks like, though, to pull the gap a lot, but he doesn't seem as vulnerable as his rivals were over the last 2 laps. But he is under DRS, and he's under threat. To the inside for the Sauber, potentially, yes. To the inside of the Crow McLaren. The McLaren doesn't switch back though. He's now side by side with the green car. It's Hanano versus Chris into turn 2. And Hanano gets ahead of Chris Racing. This is what Chris doesn't need. He doesn't need to be battling here. He needs to be pulling a gap, but Hanano just making sure that isn't happening, not on his watch, and he's now back ahead of the McLaren. Great stuff here in Hungary.
As the drives also on an same amount of VRS usage, currently around the 40% mark from P1 to P3. It looks that they're all using as much as they can to keep defending and attacking. But this is absolutely going into Hernano's hands. As we know, the hard compounds are comfortable enough to get to the end. And if he even stays ahead of the medium runners, he could even still have that one pistol pass. Oh! Chris nearly spins it round on the edge of the penultimate corner. He's ran too much curb, and that is not what he wants to wants to do to his medium compounds.
Oh, I don't know what's going faster, his car or my heart pounding after that one. His rear tires are going to be hot after it, but it seems like it was worth it. He's on the track, but he's lost DRS, and now he could be a threat to Jump and Glow Show. What a save, but his tires aren't going to be happy with him, as now they're overheating, and Jump and Glow Show are clawing back into play to get P2 off of what was a chasing Chris Racing. Now is it defending Chris Racing in Cockpit Real Racing.
Let's talking about the second McLaren as well. Pier Francesco is working himself quite majestically up the grid after a retirement in the one-shot qualifying, seeing him start from all the way back of the grid and then having a shock of a strategy with the intermediate to dry. So as he had damage, he works himself way up the grid and having P5 just in his grasps up ahead, which could be an easy overtake for the main straight. And just with that, he'll have a 10-second gap to the leaders ahead. And well, if there will be a second safety car, that safety car can absolutely switch up the grid, switch up the order, and will put everyone who's on the medium compound to an advantage. But the ones who are on the hard will give it a free pit stops. But can Pier Francesco get past the Chapman? That was a bit of a less optimal last sector, which gave Chapman just enough cushion to stay ahead of Pier Francesco.
Yeah, great, good defending by Jalman. I'm surprised that his defending is and his pace as well. His pace has been very good this race. I underestimated his pace before the race started. He's proved me wrong. Just keeping an eye on the battle for P2 and P3 you as well. Where as the Red Bull Glow Show now looking like he's found a bit of pace. I think he saved his mediums a bit, and now he's starting to use them in good. Forest Jump playing the Hunter and the Hunted, and he looks like could potentially have a move at Chris Racing, but he's looking vulnerable to Galuccio in some of the corners, and then he's looking like he's gonna get a run on Chris out of other corners, but he's sometimes close, sometimes not, but he needs to start closing on Chris a bit more. Let's see what happens into this DRS zone of turn 1. No move made? Nope. So nothing done there. A bit deep for the Red Bull compared to his rivals on the exit of turn 1 at the halfway stage of the race. It's Alpine now. We have 3 different engine manufacturers in this battle for P2. We have a Mercedes powered McLaren in front, a Renault powered Alpine in the middle, and then a Honda powered Red Bull at the back. And it's currently the Mercedes power leading out front, leading out front in this battle, should I say. The Red Bull looks like he's closing, not enough, but the Red Bull is definitely closer to the Alpine than the Alpine is to the McLaren of Chris Racing. It's not close enough for a move yet, so it looks like they're just kind of stuck in a little train at the moment here at the halfway mark of the race. So it's round for the Mercedes of Jalman in the S's, and he nearly whacked a Haas. That'll be a penalty for sure. That was a bit naughty. It was desperate to get onto the track, but in doing so, yeah, that was a bit dangerous there on Petrocam. Petrocam's probably had the front of his life. Meanwhile, the Alpine battling with the McLaren. Any move made? Yes! He makes it stick. No, he doesn't. As the McLaren doesn't make it on the outside. As Jump getting through. Yeah, Jump gets through. So the hard runners, it's worked out for them better than it has for the medium runners. So the hard runners are able to pull a gap. The medium runners had pace, lost it very quick it seems. Heading round turn 4 and 5. What a battle and what a moment here on lap 36 here at Hungary.
Bit of a shocking news to see here that the McLaren of Chris, with the pace that he had in the past few laps, gaining to even the leaders, just drastically fell after that one massive slide that he had in the penultimate corner. Ever since that slide, he has been calmed down his driving, has taken down the pace, which gave Forrest Jump the position first, but also seems to be that mean that the McLaren and so the medium compounds seem to be struggling, and that could be a sign that the end of the race on those cars will definitely not be a viable option.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a reason no one's touching the softs in this race, and you're seeing it. Why? Is even the medium tires, which are considered the option tire in terms of speed and pace and grip, they aren't working, and the prime tires, which are the hard tires, because they have a longer prime, and as you can see, it's working out better for the second option of tire, and but everyone's already used their hard tires from what I can tell, at least in the top 5. They've already used their hard tires, so that I think they're all going to be on mediums for the end. It's just when they pit onto the mediums that's going to matter, and I think the hard runners are gonna have a bit of an advantage on it, because the mediums look like they're dying off already, and we've got about half the race to cover. So this is going to be very interesting. For the last few laps, we have a V-carb going slowly. What's happening here?
V-carb, I believe that's a V-carb of Lexi, don't make a mistake, but also Joseph bringing us back to a little bit of a nostalgia trip with the prime compounds and the well, it was back in the 2010s with the prime and the
Tires, yeah.
That was a bit of a throwback moment, as Formula 1 has gone through quite a bit of a tire compound name changes from the 2010s way of the two compounds, when we then had the 2017 with about 10 compounds you can use in the race, from the super hards to the hyper softs. That was also quite a bit of a trip, but now ever since I believe it was 2021 where the rules changed from the medium softs and hards, but still bring a little bit of nostalgia from the C1 to C5, with C5 being the softest and C1 being the hardest. A bit of a learn session here in the commentary for Cockpit View Racing, as the racing just gets our brains running, gets our juices flowing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to be that guy, but I'm gonna have to correct you about the 20. Yeah, it was 2019. They changed it to the soft, medium, and hard tires, but I think it was 2021 where they labeled it as C1, C2, C3. So you're right on that one. Heading out of this corner, as you can see, Chris is actually closed up to Forrest Jump. Not sure he's going to make a move, but we'll keep an eye on that one. And he's traffic in the way on the apex of turn 1. Incredible. No move made, but this is awful. The V-carb getting in the way of the Alpine. That gap has lost 2/10. The Alpine must be raging. Chris looking at that thinking, oh, come on, you couldn't have done more. There's incredible drama, but 30 laps, or just over 30 laps to go in this race. Nearly going wrong for Forrest Jump.
That was the V-carb of Exito coming out of pit lane and absolutely having a mental breakdown, deciding on where to go, and that nearly caused the heartache to Forrest Jump. And well, it ended up with Exito just deciding to fly off the road, luckily not damaging himself or others more, but that could have ended up an absolute chaos for our fighting drivers here, as Forrest Jump and Chris Racing, these two are in a championship contention, and you don't want to see a championship contender fight go off by a back marker flying into the side of you?
Nope,
That
not
is-
until
Wow.
as the Alpine a little bit wide through turn one, even without a car there. But that was, yeah, he'll get a slap on the wrist for that one. Rexito, he'll definitely get a penalty for that one. And if not, he'll at least get a reprimand or something like that, because that was very clumsy. The pit lane one I could understand, but the one into turn two was a bit much. It almost looked like intentional blocking by Rexito at one point. Sauber off. Who's this?
That's not a leader. That's Thick Pampo nearly giving me a heart attack. Think that a leader's gone off. Thick Pampo on P11.
Yeah. Incredible.
That's quite of a weird scene, seeing the Kick Sauber so close together on the track and seeing one of them go off, and immediately my brain going, oh dear, there's a leading car off. Luckily it wasn't, but now going into blue flags, Hernano could make it easy. Of course, teammates, team orders could apply. We don't know if they are talking to each other, but this should be an easy pass for the black markers. But up behind, Chris is now tucking himself into the rear diffuser of the Alpine. And again, now it depends which tire is better to drive on. It got cloudy here in Hungary again, so the temperature drop could indicate that maybe the mediums, with of course it being overcast, those 1-2 degrees of Celsius that the temperatures drop could go into the medium hands. But then the question is the pit stop order. You've tackled that subject a few laps ago, but it is still in my mind that the hards can go till the end, but the mediums most likely will have to check for one more stop.
Yeah, just having a look at what team chats or what teammates are on the radio to each other, should I say. As Dance is in the radio but on his own. The McLaren boys are talking to each other, so Pierre, Francesco and Chris Racing both on communication with each other, as well as the Haas pair of No Assists and Petrocam. So, but nothing from what I can see is saying about the Sauber team chat. It looks like there's nothing like that, but it looks like there's a bit of DRS games going on here. Is Sig Pampos staying ahead of Hernano, giving him DRS, which is helping him out. But the battle for second rages on between Forest Jump and Chris here on lap 42. Chris getting right up close to Forest Jump and then nearly losing the car. But into turn 4, the Mansell corner. I learned the corner names for Hungary, but I only learned that only one corner has a name, and that is turn number 4, which is called the Mansell corner. I'm not too sure why. I reckon it's probably referencing the 1992 champion, as rain is falling again here in Zandvoort. So this is going to be Zandvoort, Hungary, should I say? Zandvoort next race as we go through. Rain is falling, so get ready to shake the race up like it's a box of Skittles, because it's about to get crazy. What's gonna happen, Luca?
Did the McLaren did the medium runners snow that it's gonna get wet again? We don't know. Of course, you have the option to ask your engineer in game the question of weather, but it seems that maybe now it's a question: how hard will the rain fall for it to be a call for the intermediates again? Or will the rain just be light enough to be enough for the dry compounds? Have a Schumacher, I believe it was 1998, where he stayed out on the dry compounds during a wet weather, which gave him the advantage. Will we see that tonight here in Hungary again? Or will the rain start falling hard enough that the dry compound won't have a chance anymore to get the grip, and all the medium runners have the chance to go into the pit lane? And that's Hernano losing a heaps amount of time, and his teammate having suffered. No, Hernano has suffered damage. That's Hernano with damage. Huge for our leader.
damage. Incredible. So Hanano with damage. And that, well, depending on if that's hurting him a lot or not, arrow-wise, it hurt the V-Cub of Frankie earlier, and I think it hurt one of the Williams as well, Diego. Is into the pits for Hanano. This could be drama for him. I think his teammate was giving him DRS lap after lap, and with the rain falling, his teammate spun, and it looks like his teammates clipped him. Incredible. But I see what you mean with the 1996 strategy, should I say, for Schumacher in Spain, where he climbed from way back in the grid up to second behind Dame Hill. Year before his, or 4 years before his first championship with Ferrari. But yeah, incredible. This could be incredible. So this battle between Forrest Jump and Chris Racing has now been turned into a battle for the lead. But look at the people coming into the pits, as well as Pierre Francesco. Is that too early? Are they going to overheat their intermediate tyres? Those questions will be answered in like the start.
I believe it seems to me that the dry compound runners have just stayed out a bit too long. Chris is suffering on those mediums. He's sliding around. He's locking the brakes. And it doesn't seem that he's keeping a lot of time on the table. So it does seem that maybe the leaders will take this. But no, the Alpine stays out. Forrest Jump stays out. He is comfortable. He's safe. He decides that it's not time yet. It's not it yet. And here we go. Now it's Michael Schumacher all over again.
Oh my lord. So we have another 25 laps of action. Maybe he's just staying up for one more lap, unless the DRS hasn't been closed yet. Unless I've missed that. But maybe he's staying out for one more lap just to make sure he definitely isn't going to overheat those intermediate tyres on his outlap. But this could be good strategy, or it could be bad strategy. I'm not too sure. It's so hard to call in this second crossover phase of the Grand Prix in terms of weather. Let's see what happens with, as Hanano still in P3, side by side with Galosio heading into turn 2. Oh no, that's his teammate. Never mind. Yeah, let's keep an eye on Chris, and let's keep an eye on Forrest Jump. I reckon if Chris can get that gap to potentially 20 seconds or 19 seconds, I reckon that could be the gap to jump Forrest Jump. But yeah, this could, well, let's see what happens, Luca.
It's on board with Forrest Jump. It looks like the Alpine isn't suffering too much with the rain falling. He is gaining time to the McLaren. Look at the times. And this is now the call. He's gained about a few tenths on the McLaren on that lap. Those few tenths could be a make it or break it for the Alpine team to stay out. So now on with the McLaren, look at the minimap. The light blue dots in the pit lane is Forrest Jump. Where will he come out in compared to the McLaren? It will be a fast stop for the Alpine team. Just the tires on. He goes out, and it's gonna be quite a bit of a distance as he leaves the pit lane now. There he is on the right hand side. Who comes out in front? It's the Alpine. No, it's the McLaren. Who is it? Oh, they're side by side. It's no one.
Side by side.
It's no one. They are there. Wow.
Practically side by side, making contacts.
Barging wheels.
Making contact.
Jump. Takes the lead of the race. Incredible. Incredible.
I lost words. They come out neck and neck. Fight it out tooth and nail, and the hip and shoulder by Forrest Jump. Proper touring car racing heading round turn 2, but that's probably the first of what will be many battles here in the rain late in Hungary. Is it going to dry up again? I don't know. This is one of the most unpredictable races I've ever seen in my life. DRS is now finally disabled, and now the battling gets a whole lot more trickier for these drivers. But the closest battle on track is the battle for the lead, and as you can see, it's Chris is losing time to Forrest Jump, but that that stint on the Haas by Forrest Jump, being able to gap Chris, has really helped him for this unexpected phase of the Grand Prix where Hananos has had issues and rain has fallen.
The Alpine Forest Jump took that one lap more on the dry, which not only gave him that two crucial tenth to stay out of McLaren, but it also gave him a one lap fresher medium, so he has a little bit more pace to put on those intermediates as they both slide through turn 2. Chris seemed to be struggling more, and now the question is, what setup have the drivers gone on to? Because of Park Ferme and qualifying, they had to decide on one of a setup, and well, have they gone with a wet setup with higher wings, less on acceleration, or with a more dry setup where they can go more aggressive on the rear? And it does seem that Chris has gone with a more aggressive setup, but it's hurting him more as far as jump laps Haas in an unfortunate spot. So does Chris, but Chris just gradually is losing time the furthest.
Yeah, I think he got hurt with the placing of the traffic there with the Toyota Haas, so I think that's no assists. But yeah, he's losing time now. He's lost about 2/10 a lap over the last 2 laps from what I can tell. And it doesn't look like it's going to change, sadly, for... Oh no, he's gained out of the last corner, but he's straddling at 1.3 second margin with Forrest Jump, but it looks like that lead is slipping out of the championship leader's hands, but it's still a good haul of points, but the win would make it all that more sweeter. But with 22 laps to go in this race, it's all to play for, and it's in the rain as well, so a mistake could come out of nowhere. And actually, wide for the Williams there, as I'm not too sure if the back marker held up the Alpine or not, but that's a mere 4/10 coming out and going out of nowhere for Forrest Jump. He's losing time now, heading through the second sector.
Eyes on the rain, it's getting harder by the second. If it keeps up this pace, the intermediates won't be the tire to stay on for long, and we might see one last pit stop for the full wet compound, as that is a very unrealistic thought, as of course in real life we never saw those tires, but in the game, if the rain keeps falling like it is and getting stronger, the intermediates might not be the right tires to be on in a few laps time.
No, but round is a penalty for Gelman. There's also Hananos. Hananos is closing, but I think he's too far away to make any moves soon. But yeah, that gap has come down over the last lap. So while Chris has lost time over the first 2 laps in the rain, he is slowly closing as the rain gets more intense. So let's see. But this gap is just going to be managed by Forrest Jump now. They're both going to be just at that stage they were earlier on in the race of just managing their ERS and putting it on, putting it off in the right places, and just making sure they don't make a mistake. A bit like Forrest Jump and Hananos earlier on, trying to stay ahead of Ale Galosio.
Chris is struggling in the McLaren. On the exit of turn 5, he's gone off, and at the start of the lap, the difference was 1 second, and already at the halfway mark of the lap, it's already 1.3. Forrest Jump seems to be just keeping us cool on the track, just keeping the traction where he needs it, not really going on the edge of the limits so far. But it seems that through the slower part, Forrest Jump gains. But once a faster part of Sector 2 comes around, that's when Chris gains. So that tells me that maybe Chris is running a lower downforce setup. But if you've knocked that subject at the start of the race, and now in the rain, it's very noticeable where the setup difference comes to play. As on the straight, that's where the McLaren gains more time, but then through the slower parts of Sector 1 and beginning of Sector 2, that's where the Alpine gets his play. But then the entry of Sector 3, that's again the McLaren. So they are pretty much on equal terms on where to gain and where to lose. it really depends on when the driver sees that opportunity or where mistakes start to kick in. As first jump hasn't been taken turn 2 quite right for the past few laps.
Yeah, as I think he's struggling as the rain is intensifying, and setup could be one thing, but also just adjusting his ERS usage as well, as the ERS, the electric motor, spins the tires up more the more you use it, and that can loosen the grip of the tires by overheating them and spinning the car. As it looks like Chris is able to because I'm seeing that light on Chris's car flashing a bit less than on, or a bit more should I say, than on Jump's car. Jump's car's flashing now, but in sector 2, or no, sector 1 should I say, it's not flashing a lot.
I'm gonna have to cut you off there. The flashing will be constant. That's a rain light.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. No, ignore me.
It's good to say that you keep me on the flashing as for the dries. That is absolutely smart to look at, because that is an indicator when the battery is in charge mode or less than 10%. But sadly in the rain, it isn't as easy to watch there. But that's it. Aston Martin getting in the way of his jump, and well, this is absolutely going into the hands of Chris. He's getting a bit lucky with the mistakes the first jump is having. But that doesn't mean that he's still in the clear. He still needs to get past that car. And to remind you, the nickname of this track is Monaco without walls, which the nickname came by just how difficult it is to overtake around this track. As even if you're fast, as Chris Racing shows us, as long as first jump places that car correctly, which on this track doesn't seem to be too hard with the way the line changes, seems to be still in the hands of first jump to be ahead of the McLaren. And now with the rain, the DS assistance being off, it goes even more into the hands of the French car of the Alpine.
Yep. Okay, very close now into the second last corner. What can the Alpine do? Just need to make sure he doesn't ruin the last corner, and he goes a little bit wide, and that gives Chris a bit of a sniff heading down the straight now. As is there going to be a move heading into turn 1? We're right on board with the Alpine round the outside for the McLaren. Is he going to make the move into the first corner here at the Hungaroring? No, he isn't. He might get the move heading into the second corner, the long hairpin corner. Weaving now, darting across the track like ping pong balls, but Chris isn't going to make that stick. He's setting up a move on the exit of turn 3, but no, he doesn't have the traction. But that is the closest we've seen them since the exit of the pit lane, and I have a feeling we're going to see them get closer, even closer in the next few laps in the next 18 laps of this Grand Prix.
As the dying stage of the race come round, we are 52 out of 70 laps into tonight's Grand Prix. Chris Racing seems to be getting the upper hand on drivability of the McLaren, and once he got those intermediates up to temperatures, I believe that seemed to be the issue with the McLaren. With the rain, it's pouring down, it's getting heavy. I'm seeing the textures on the ground just getting more, but also the raindrops just being way more visible by the second. And with 18 laps to go, I definitely wouldn't say that wet compounds won't be a play here, as a kick Sauber causes a yellow flag in sector 2.
Yeah, not too sure what happened there, as they are spacing out again, the McLaren and the Alpine of Forest Jump. Forest Jump goes wide out of turn 1, and that leaves him a bit vulnerable into turn 2, but no moves made there. It's very... I'm struggling to tell if they're losing the car or if they're just like hammering the throttle down and lighting the rears up, but they're not making the mistake, but they're on the edge of it. I must say so myself, but also Galosio with that penalty, he would end up in P5 as Francesco has got that gap down to... Oh no, it's a 3-second penalty, not 5 seconds,
Oh,
so he hasn't
something's
got that
happened.
gap down yet. I think that might be blue flags, but I could be wrong.
As the Aston
I'll
Martin
see that.
causing a yellow flag of bans, letting by a few cars. JP now retires on the straight, and what has gone on there? What has gone on
Too
with the? Has
sure.
the Alpine suffered an engine failure? Is that possible?
No, I think... I'm not too sure if if that's a disconnection or if
Can't
he was meant
be.
to retire in the pits and missed it. I'm not too sure. Very interesting, but he's pulled off at turn 1. He's out of harm's way. Meanwhile, is Chris in harm's way of potentially making a move? No, he's not into turn 1. Depends how they get out of turn 1 and how they charge into turn 2. What speed are they showing? They're separated by half a second again, so nothing to be done.
Oh,
Here lap 54 and getting crossed up is the Chrome McLaren. And that is not how you want to be entering turn 2. In fact, it's the opposite. Unless you're doing the Formula Drift Championship. Uh, Heading round the struggling for grip. It looks like they're keeping it nice and tidy. Heading through Sector 2. It looks like it's going to be another game of who can get out the last corner the best. It looks like it's the Alpine Forest over the last few rounds.
the McLaren of Chris Racing just keeping the pressure up on the Alpine. By doing so, he's putting himself under a bit of pressure as well, which doesn't seem to be much helping the McLaren. But onto the subject with JP now, if it is a game disconnect, your AI driver will take over. That seemed to be either voluntary by the driver, which is out of the rules. The rules do say if you retire, you have to retire in the pit lane. And if it is, which I don't think it is, but if it is an engine failure, then that's an unfortunate time to get one. I don't know if it is possible to get engine failures in a lobby like this, but the game does simulate engine failures in some other part of the game, so maybe, I don't know, we missed how exactly the Alpine retired, so JP is out of the race with that, and the stewards will definitely have definitely a look on that one.
Yep. As we head through turn 3, there's battling between Galosio and the McLaren of Francesco. Is nearly wide for Francesco. Great stuff, but he's holding it to the inside. No, he isn't. Galosio, great defending, and he makes contact. Goes wide. It's a shame to see it end like that, but Galosio very aggressive on the defense. He's still there, nearly making contact. Careful heading round turn 3, but the two Italian drivers, flamboyant as ever.
So now
As I'm
second
picking up
penalty.
another penalty. That's a shame. But heading out of the turn 6 corner, that is a shame. I was hoping he could potentially battle a bit longer and maybe pull that 3 seconds. But no, Galosio though, putting on a show. Meanwhile, the front 2 are heading out of the last corner.
On a shocking note, from a pretty heavy rainfall, it just stopped at the lap of 55, and it just got dry in a heaps of time, so we could see one final stop for the leading cars.
Yeah, Hanalo in the pits. Interesting. See what tyres he goes on to. He's going to lose positions to Francesco and to Galoso now, and he is on... Are they mediums? They're medium tyres. So maybe it is drying up, and Galosio's in as well. So this could turn the race on its head again, heading on to the last few laps. We had one of the V cars off. That was Rexito, who looked like he went slow and stop outside for the leaders as Chris and Jump.
Oh dear. believe we've lost connection to Joseph. Joseph has turned into a robot. I'm going to quickly mute second comment. Quickly put down the volume of him. We've just lost connection to Joseph. I believe he's back now. Hopefully, as also joining us is Warward in the comms box. But we'll have to have a look at that after this. We have our leaders still going at it into turn 2. Unfortunate Joseph having lost a connection. They're side by side with the blue flags, with the Williams off as well. Forrest Jump still in the lead of the race with the McLaren of Chris Racing, looking for every opportunity. They're still on the intermediate compounds as the race comes to the end, with the drives probably being the better compound, probably being the smarter choice, and they're sending Chris on the inside of Forrest Jump. They make collide. They make contact at the Alpine is round. The Alpine is facing the wrong way and rejoins just ahead of a Ferrari. And that is huge. Highlight. The Stewards definitely will have a look at that one. As also championship contenders colliding at the exit of the chicane. And what will the McLaren now do? He'll have to run through that. Hopefully, hopefully the Alpines will have a chance. But that was unfortunate, the exit of the chicane, and the McLaren stays out. What's the Alpine going to do? The Alpine goes in. The Alpine takes a gamble, goes in for the pit stop, goes in. As of course, look at the onboard, it's dry, there is no more wet. He just managed to get the speed down. Chris stays out. He had damage, he suffered damage in that front left. The left hand side of the wing is missing an end plate, and hopefully, commentator's back. Joseph having lost connection for a split second. I say a split second, it was more of a minute. Joseph, are you back?
I am back, hopefully. Yep, my Discord crashed, but I covered the action on my own stream.
Luckily, I saved it as well.
Oh, cool.
You've started turning into a big robot. But we're back. We're back for the final 10 laps of the race.
Yeah, and it was carnage with Forrest Jump and Chris Racing making contact. It's one of the Hasses going slowly there. I'm not too sure who that was. But yeah, carnage. The leaders collided after 57 laps of clean action. Little bits of rubbing ended in a massive calamity out of turn 6.
That was just unfortunate. Chris got a bit too eager in the entry. Saw the opening, went for it, but it was just a little too hot, as the space on the exit just wasn't there. Chris jumps in for the pit. He has suffered a little bit of damage in that incident, so looking to what the McLaren does here. First jump, rounds the final. He's gone on the soft compound, which could be a smart call. Hernano, of course, on the mediums might not be able to catch enough. Yes, the McLaren fixes his damage, goes out now, also soft compound, and so we will have a repeat of the last stop, but I believe the Alpine will just be ahead. Yes, absolutely ahead by a mile.
Yeah, by a mile for now, but that could be a millimeter in a couple laps, because they're on different, they pitted at different times, so Chris could maybe, and depending on the ERS that they both have, which I think Chris has more of, this could be a frantic end to the end. This could be a frantic end to this Hungarian Grand Prix for CRR Racing. Oh, a nearly round for Chris there.
Chris is absolutely pushing that McLaren to the limit. He wants to get as close as possible to the Alpine, looking for every nook and cranny that he can push his counter, and he has the pace on the drive. Chris absolutely is an unstoppable force, but really that little collision cost both of them a little bit of time, and Chris seemed to had the upper hand after the incident, but then with the damage repair got the bad end of the stick and needs to now recover from that little incident. Of course, the stewards will have a look if it will get reported to the stewards inbox. Toto have an email, Toto's email type. Chris Racing will need to have a look if we can defend what has happened. Of course, up all to the steward's decision, but talk about the McLarens. Pierre Francesco is gaining heaps to the kick Sauber. They're about to be nearly a second apart, which could be just a second, which Pierre Francesco might need to get past.
Yep. Yeah, this is frantic action then. Loads of cars separated by a second in the top four. So I'm just having a look at the battle between Jalman and Petra. Just seeing if any collisions or anything happens in that. It looks like they're keeping it civilized. They're both on soft tires from what I can see.
It's the hard compound for the hards.
Oh, it's the hards. Okay, that changes a lot. So no wonder he's under pressure from the Mercedes heading down the straight, who gets the better run out of the last corner and breezes past the Haas of Petrocam. Petrocam looks to the inside and Jalman goes deep. He goes to the deep end of the corner, but he does keep the position with the grip of the soft tyres. Meanwhile, leaders are on the straight. Is anything going to change? 7/10. It's the closest they've been in this second dry phase of the Grand Prix. And kicking the tail out as well for Chris. Nothing changing with Hernano and Pier Francesco. Francesco is staying behind for the time being.
Gaining ever so slightly for P3, Pier Francesco. He's gone from about 1.5 seconds a few laps ago now to all the way down to 1/2 second. He is ever so gaining, but again, now comes the nature of the track. Just how long can the kick Sauber keep it ahead? That's the same subject for the battle with Chris and Forrest, but now the change. Now the one change is that the DS is enabled again, so on the main straight, the advantage of those 15 extra horsepower the DS gives could be the 15 horsepower you need to just fly by. It's a yellow flag, a Red Bull is leaving by your leaders. Nothing has happened there, hopefully, but now I'm keeping my eye on what Hernando can do. But I believe what's closer is Chris to jump. Will we see a lunge from the McLaren driver in P2?
Potentially, no. Nothing done there. He might be waiting for a move into turn 2. He takes a shorter line out of turn 1 compared to Forrest, but no move made there. Same story for the other McLaren of Francesco, but both McLarens in pursuit mode of a car in front in the top 4. They're currently P2 and P4, but it looks like they could potentially be P1 and P3. A double podium on the cards for the men from Woking. Oh, the men driving the cars built from Woking, should I say. Is it going to happen for Chris and for Francesco? Time will tell in the last 8 laps of this, what will be 2-hour Grand Prix in Hungary for Cockpit View Racing. There's been drama, there's been chaos, there's been carnage. And it comes down to the 8 laps and these 4 drivers. What's going to happen between these 2 battles? Or first, second, third, and fourth.
Also interesting with the tire strategies you see across the board. Chris and Forrest are on the softs, while Hernando and Pier Francesco are on the mediums. But this will be an opportunity for Chris. The air is open, looking for the inside for turn 1. He has to run. He has the courage. He has a braking zone. He has to run out of turn 2 with the DS help. There is Forrest Jump charging the battery on the exit of turn 1. So the McLaren breezes past for turn 2 and gets a position for the lead of the race. That is also Pier Francesco side by side with Fernando. So exactly what you said a lap before. The McLaren's double podium from starting second to last with with Pier Francesco and P11 for Chris has come P1 and P3 respectfully. An incredible race for the pair.
Yeah, this couldn't have gone better for McLaren. They've played their cards very well here in Hungary, and they've You know, it was a strategy race to begin with. No matter the weather being as topsy-turvy as it is, it's like Silverstone 2025. You really have to judge it well. But yeah, this make the difference. This is why you're seeing such big gaps today, because the strategy of the drivers has had to be on form. The drivers themselves have to be on form in the driving, and Chris being on form with another fastest lap on those soft tyres. Every tyre, apart from the wet tyres, has been used by these drivers today, and more than once for the mediums, and more than once for the inters as well. But yeah, as Hanano trying to get back to Pierre Francesco, he's on the outside of turn 1. He'll have the inside for the long hairpin of turn 2. Carters him to the outside. Francesco back into 4th. And yellow flag, that's only a lap to cast. You don't have to worry. Side by side, it's turn 4. That was never going to work. And Francesco admitted that early, as even from the look of it.
Oh, he's gone off.
This is...
He's gone off.
I think-
Francisco's
oh.
off. He's gone wide. He lost the rear end, having to catch a car. Slides off the track, losing him more than a second. And that's unfortunate for the McLaren second driver. He had the run, but he tried to too hard, and something has happened, I believe, by the reaction.
I just came back to the battle in P10, no assists, and Job has just ran into the back of the Haas, damaging his front wing, and that's probably not going to change anything there, but just a bit of drama that just caught onto there. But the leaders are back at it. They're separated by 6/10, so it doesn't look like a move is going to be made, but 5 laps to go. Looks like something could be set up between these two, as Forrest Jump looks like he's found a bit of pace again. He's saved some ERS, and he's now back on the chase. But with a bit like the Bradley Walsh quiz team, the chase is on. Will the chase be complete by Forrest Jump?
As the battle between the two is a big difference. The McLaren is way better on the deploy part of that. That's the Martin being a bit of a roadblock for Chris. Managed to get out the way just in time. Didn't lose too much time for Chris. Actually, didn't lose him any time. He has gained 2 Forrest Jump. Even with that, that's the Ferrari's going off. I think he spun as well, the Ferrari, causing that yellow flag. Rejoins just at the back of the battle here for first. And Pierre Francesco sadly is not managed to gain the time back. But I'm thinking about the soft compounds. In this game, the tire wear for soft is just always usually very high. And 12 laps on the soft compound, that is quite a feat. That could become a bit of trouble for these two in the final laps, as they're sliding a little bit. And losing actually quite a bit of ground to Hernan in the back. From the 10 seconds that they had, it's all the way down to 7.9. So as the tire wear for the softs just increases every lap, but these two also are pushing each other. Hernando could just have a final lap gain maybe on this pair.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is very interesting. Now you brought that up, Hanano could be in play. I don't want to speak too soon. I don't know if he's going to be able to make that. But to be fair, with the tyre life in this game, he could, depending on if the front runners make a mistake with their tyre wear. And if they do, Hananos, after nearly losing the lead earlier, after losing half his wing, could, I'm saying could, not probably would, but could potentially take win. He's closing that gap, a couple tenths a lap. I'm not too sure if it'll be enough, but what is definitely not enough is the gap between Forrest Jump and Chris Racing for an overtake, heading around turn 1 and even into turn 2. Yeah, it looks like the track is littered with traffic though, and it's causing havoc with Hananos, as Hananos not able to make it. As head round turn 3, as we have Hananos heading out turn 3. Yeah, in a minute. my commentary. We head through. On a
What is a yellow flag caused by an Aston Martin? Looking there through turn 5, and Hernano's gained more than 2 seconds this lap to the leaders. Hernano's been on an absolute push, and by the way he's catching, he actually could have an opportunity to be with the leaders on the final lap of the race. It's an incredible thought to say. From 10 seconds down at the start of the final 10 laps, he is now 4.3 starting lap 68. So we're now going down the main straight on with, look at Hernano, the gap still 4.0. He's gaining. Chris has started to let go a little bit of Forest as well, which is an interesting thing, as I believe these two have swapped position as well, as we were looking for Hernano. So these two battling did absolutely not help their chances at all, and I believe the soft compounds are starting to be at the end of the tire life. Sliding through the braking zones are getting ever so more crucial. The traction isn't keeping up at all. As I see up in front, the Alpine being all over the place, even sliding off the track there. And that is slowly gaining for Hernano. But this lap, Hernano hasn't gained enough at all to have a contention. But there's a chance for these two to battle. There's a chance that Hernano could take the upper hand once these two put themselves back into a crucial battle.
yeah, as is a move going to be made potentially by Chris? No dive yet here on lap 69. As at turn 1, he's got good traction. He's closing up. He could have a move heading onto the last lap, depending on how close he can stay, heading out of the last corner. Last lap of the race soon. This will be now or never for Chris. In the Hungarian Grand Prix, it's been a great titanium fight between the pair of them. How will it end? Let's have a look.
Going through the chicane, 4 attempts between the top 2, and 2 seconds nearly to Hernano. He's gained big time again this lap. He should have gotten it last lap as well, which by the reason that he didn't could be the whole point that he will miss out to that final lap battle as we're closing in onto the final sector on the penultimate lap for the second to final time. And, so going through the final corner, about to start the final lap. Hernano 1.6 behind Chris, 3 attempts, 2 throws. First jumped off at the inside, incredibly harsh. He doesn't leave any space for a dive bomb. The McLaren couldn't get the traction, but he could get it down under. These two battling is the chance for Hernano to gain. Through turn 1, side by side, into turn 2. Absolutely no space given by the pair. Oh, the Aston Martin is sideways. And as by the Alpine, the McLaren still side by side towards turn 4. Who will let go? Who will be the brave one? Oh, no! The Alpine is round, and Hernano goes into P2. Chris is our lead of the race. The first jump loses the podium with that. Hernano 8 attempts back to Chris. Chris though needs to keep his head down. The tire difference, look at that. Hernano is absolutely on the flyer, going towards the final sector. The McLaren has no speed towards the fire, spin out to the corner. Here to the inside, the kicks over. Oh, the McLaren loses it. The McLaren kicks over, loses it. Oh dear, what's going on? Towards the penultimate corner, the McLaren takes so far the lead. And now entering the final lap of the race, the kicks over, goes wide, and will it be enough for Chris? Yes, it will. Chris wins in Hungary.
What a win! What a win by Chris. That was not easy. That was battling the 2 other drivers Hanano showing up late to the party, but showing him well. And Francesco picking up the pieces from Forrest Jump's late race spin. The second time he spun in that race, judging off of a collision with Chris. What drama here in Hungary. I'm going to have to shoot, but I am going to remember that battle for a while because that was beautiful action between them here in Hungary. Wow.
That was Hernano had just lost the opportunity entering the third to final corner as both of them made a mistake through there. And that is a double podium at the end of the day for the McLaren team. An amazing performance. But Chris might not be in the save because the stewards will have a look at this incident between him and Forrest Jump. And so Hernano still could have a chance to get the win in tonight's race. So absolutely looking forward to that. We'll keep you the viewers updated for the next round on what happens between the pair of them. But it is Chris on track for today to win in the 100% Hungary race for round 14. Letting the podium celebration simmer between the top three. Chris celebrating there at the top, but Hernano an absolute masterclass of a race for that final stint to get himself into that P2. And with Pier Francesco keeping himself out of trouble, getting that P3 regardless, absolutely respectfully as well. That was very well done from him. In that final lap. So unfortunate for the Alpine for that spin to have happened. So, well, I believe because of the length of tonight's race, we will not have interviewees, but absolutely doesn't matter because it was still a race that kept both of us in the commentary box on the edge, and really that final lap showed it. So race winner Chris with the fastest lap also going to Chris according to the game. Pier Francesco got driver today. I gotta say also for my take it is as well, getting from virtually last place up into the podium position goes well, as of course that will also go to the most overtakes done, and Ternano gets rewarded as the cleanest driver of the race. Congratulations to the drivers tonight, and well, I am genuinely at a loss of words. Chris joining me here in the commentary box. I have just said sadly, due to the length of tonight's race, we might have to avoid interviews, but maybe with a few questions we can sneak in, but not too many, of course. It is quite late in the evening, and the race was a bit of a long one. So we got our top three, our podium sitters in here. So you know what? We'll ask just a few questions to end off tonight's broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start with our P3 finisher, Pier Francesco, McLaren racer. Started down the grid. Pier Francesco, run us through your thoughts. What has happened in the sprint, in the one-shot qualifying?
No, nothing happened. I had qualifying ban, so I had to retire and not finish my lap. Well, yeah, too bad. I tried to do an installation lap. It was going good, so too bad for the quali ban, but it was a funner race. So that's all. In Italy, we say non tutto il male viene per nuocere. I don't know what's the translation, but I guess you can translate since you're half Italian.
Not all bad goes to. I believe it's not all bad goes to the kind-hearted or something like that. So, well, absolutely, it is well unfortunate for the quali ban, but well, even with that, you've absolutely showed a race tonight, which absolutely kept us on the edge of our seat. That was beautiful, and what are your opinions? Well, I'm gonna have to keep this short. What are your opinions on this spin of the Alpine? What were your thoughts running through getting that podium position on the final lap?
Yeah, well, I was waiting to get a podium because it's been quite a while since my last podium. So uh, sometimes I have hard luck, sometimes it's the others. So mm, that was unfortunate for first jump. I don't know what happened because he's a great driver. We fought a lot in the last few races, so it's not good to see him. Let's say throw the race like that, but sadly that's all how the races go. And yeah, I tried to keep it clean, and it worked.
Absolutely. Consistency is half the battle, as some do say. Absolutely deserved for the podium position. Thank you, Pier Francesco. Congratulations to the race tonight with everything going as it did. You've done an amazing job and, well, absolutely beautiful. So, congratulations, P3. Enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. You've absolutely deserved it. And with that, we go to our P2 finisher, Hernanos in the kick Sauber number 54. Really absolutely spectacular. What were your thoughts there in the final laps, gaining heaps amount of times on the heaps amount of time on the leaders?
Yeah, and the last stint, I put the medium, and Chris and Forest put the soft tire, so I know I can go faster in the last 5-6 lap. Maybe I need one more lap for win the race. I don't know what's happened with the Chris and Forrest. So I see, but I wanna review the incident because the turn there is very fast, and I was concentrated on my race, so I don't see much. I make a good one stint in the Inter. I made a good second stint in the medium. I don't know why the third stint in the Inter I can go faster than the first stint. Maybe because I put the Inter 1.5 lap earlier. Because I need to stop. I have a contact with lapped cars, so my Charlie Clerk lucky always.
that's
So
that's
so
beautiful.
that's my race.
Absolutely beautiful to say as well. That was well, absolutely. That final lap, if you'd watch the broadcast back, you'd only probably hear me scream down the microphone. That penultimate corner, that the third to final corner, where you went nearly
Yeah,
side by side with the McLaren. Both of you losing the rear end
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
spectacular. Movie ending. This could have been in there for a movie. Gotta be honest, that was so beautiful. But well, unfortunate you didn't have the traction there. As you said, one more lap, you could have maybe done it, but well, could have. If questions, there's too much to be said, but well, absolutely beautiful from your race to keep it together and still finishing on a nice P2 at the end. You've done amazing, and well, those
Thank you.
the hearing out how you've managed as well with those stints. Well, it's been absolutely crazy with with the way the race tonight has gone, with going from wet to dry to wet to dry. It kept even us on our toes and even kept us questioning how the strategy would be. So absolutely amazing. Thank you, Hermanos, for this amazing P2 finish.
Too.
Absolutely deserved. Congratulations. Have a great evening and enjoy the weekend. Enjoy this week until next one. Um, was fantastic from your side. So
Thank you.
absolutely heads off to you. And now, well, best to last, Chris Sniper, Chris Racing, our lead our championship leader and number one driver, winning tonight again with an amazing battle with the Alpine, sadly ending in heartache for the Alpine. So run us through your thoughts. What has happened there between you two?
I don't know, mate. There were really a lot of a lot of contacts also, but a really nice battle. I think Forest Jump is was absolutely clean in every battle we did, and I don't know if we made actually two contacts. One I broke my front wing and he spun, and the other one it was in the last lap, and he just spun. It was on my inside. I tried to give him the best of the space that corner actually gives, but it was really tight. So I don't know. It was an insane race. I mean, the qualifying went really bad because the game just decided to let me start 3 seconds after the other people. And then I had a problem with the registration of the race. But then I solved it, and the qualifying went like that. And then the safety cars really made my race. Than the driving because I didn't put another hard on my set of the tires, so I was really screwed. I mean, the safety car really saved me, and then the battle with Forest Jump. They were I don't know if you saw any, but the best of F125 this year for me. Just the best race. It was also tight and calculated. I don't know. Just that.
Yeah, you two were absolutely going at it. We kept our eyes on you for majority of the race. It was absolutely amazing, and well, it was sometimes rubbing as racing, but it went absolutely often to absolute limits. Well, with that final lap as well, concluding in what could have only been a heartache incident. Oh well, Chris, I hope that the stewards will be lighthearted on you. Of course, we don't know. I as in the commentary can't really see or say who at fault was. It will be dependent on the stewards, but wishing you the best of luck that you won't be put onto the bad end of the stick. But well, was ending the race like that, even as the winner, must have felt a little still bad, or still a little bad, like not a sweet taste in your mouth.
Yeah, look, mate, I did my best, and at the checkered flag, I was the first one. Then the stewards can do whatever they want. I tried my best to be clean, and that's just it. The race, I want to remember like like this. Then the stewards can make their decisions. Just
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. You've done your best. That's what counts. Of course, there isn't more to be done. So thank you, Chris. Absolutely beautiful racing. Currently deserved win. Of course, we'll see if that will stand. But across the line, you were the first, as you said yourself. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. Enjoy the win for now.
you.
Enjoy the win with an absolutely deserving rest, or however you would like to enjoy. Just
Yeah,
party it.
rest, rest.
That
Don't worry.
absolutely it is.
No,
We've
no,
just
rest,
crossed
rest.
midnight
Don't
here
worry.
in the here in with the land of Germany, where I'm broadcasting from. So it is time to really go to bed for many people. So enjoy the win with a smile on your face for tonight, and going to bed with a good feeling, as you absolutely deserve it. Thank you all. Thank you for the podium sitters for this amazing race, and I mean also thanks to all the drivers watching, and thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. For everyone out there, have a good morning, good day, good evening, good night, and stay healthy, and watch your health and watch your mental health. Goodbye. My name was Captain Fox.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
Congratulations.
Foxy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.